Okay, we're live. Hey, neat, everybody who I don't think there's anyone watching right now, but um, we are on. This is the pilot episode of something I'm calling Moonpool, where I'll be just talking to really cool people. And tonight, I've got Coco over here, Kia over here, and Kenya up here, and then I'm Drew. And so what I'll do is I'll have you each introduce each other, and then I'll introduce myself, or Kenya maybe. I don't know. Kenya, why don't you start by introducing somebody?
I'm going to introduce you, Drew.
Oh, there you
Um,
go.
yeah. So Drew is a wonderful friend in person who I met through our project that we were both on the steering committee of called Shared Ground, which is a community space here in Denver that we have just sort of recently launched and began designing. Drew is a wizard of tech and art and design and tattooing, stick and poke, tarot reading, conflict resolution mediator master. Yes, so much more to say about you, but that is just a nice little overview of Drew. And I like how that last line rhymed, so let's leave it at
Perfect. Thank
that.
you. All right. Who's next? Okay. I'm gonna try and introduce Coco then. Coco is a friend of Kenya, and is a sound person, a genius sound mixer. I'm gonna guess producer. I don't really know what the lingo is. Uh, and yeah, what else? Help me out here, Kenya.
Yes, I don't know, a vibe master, MC, fucking one of the madams, you know, just a vibrant soul who I've known for a good amount of years, through just being weird artists in Denver. Um, yeah, Coco is a community activator, in my perspective, out here for the many of the oppressed creative folks, creating community space for them, with them. And yeah, yeah, we can even, I mean, if Kia has things to say about Coco, y'all have a deep long-term bond.
I thought Drew was gonna introduce you. That's why.
Corinne is a multi-instrumentalist, producer, vocalist, here on earth to help us all get this amplify job done. And is a lovely human. And we're in a collective called Rare Birds. And we've been making music for a long time together. And I only like Corinne's music. I hate everybody else's music. Write that down. Send that to them.
That's that's in the public record now.
Incredible vocalist, incredible performer. A really, really good friend. Amazing lover of all things and everybody, and makes everyone feel really good. And is just freaky enough to make it all happen. So that's my best friend.
Yeah. A mushroom maven with a fine booty.
You want more, Corinne? More? You can't hear.
Oh no, technical.
Oh, not the sound.
Shoot, the sound.
Hear me? Check.
We're
Yeah,
starting to hear you.
a little
Check.
bit.
All right, bet. This is what I'm gonna have to do. So,
Okay.
I can be heard though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or less. Oh, okay, bet. Yeah. Thanks for all that. Wow, it was like 3 people.
You got quite.
Piled on.
Hell yeah. So I'm gonna introduce Kia, of course. And all y'all. Actually, since y'all all did me, we're all gonna do it together. So Kia is a master collaborator. I would say a mad scientist of frequency, a wonderful cook, an even better friend, um, a teacher, a sage of sorts. She is a prime example of how Earth walkers should walk the earth. And she's my best friend. I could go on and on and on. She knows she is the like she's like the printer of blueprints. Like she's a human printer of like, here's the map, here's how we're gonna do it. And I'm like, okay, you go this way, you go this way, you go this way. And she's like, just like that. So she's a master strategist, and yeah, a wonderful person of earth that I admire and trust and love. And yeah, shout out Kenya, shout out Drew. Kenya, man, I don't even remember how we met, but like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. Yeah, Kenya is an activator in life in general. Another maven of earth, another example of how one should walk amongst the earth and care for the earth, and literally put your knees and your hands and maybe even your face sometimes inside of the earth and like get dirty in all the ways. And like she gets dirty, and that's why I like her. You know, she gets in the mud.
Yeah.
And Drew is an example of that balance of firm and soft, you know. So and I've only met them twice. We've only hung out for so long, but in that short amount of time, it didn't take much to read that, you know, they too are an earth walking example. So shout us out. Be an
Right.
example.
Yeah, right back at you, all of you. Kenya, also a mother. I think that's a cool trait.
yeah.
Anything else? Yeah, mother of many things. Very much
Yeah.
so.
Many things.
I mean, you're fierce as fuck. When I see you, I'm like, oh God, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
I said, let me duck so you can slice them. That's what I mean, that's a high compliment from the madam.
Yeah.
Love when you're around, because you're like, no.
Mm.
Or yeah,
Oh, I love it.
go in between.
So
That's what makes a great mother, is your yes means yes and your no means no.
mm,
Ooh, I think there's a lot to it, but I think at the end of the day, that's the key.
Right.
No, because it's just like that's like where the character and truth and trust is built, is yes or no. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
that's
I think you're so fierce at that. And I have a great mother, so I understand.
that's such a good. I mean, that's just a great trait. It makes working.
Everyone write that down.
Yeah, that's a good topic, and I think it's a great kind of segue into what we're talking about. So Kenya and I are on the steering committee of a new project called Shared Ground, and we are, mothering, doulaing, midwifing in this project. I also want to see if I think there's like, we got 2 viewers, it looks like. If they want to just like just say hello and who they are in the chat. Y'all can't see the chat. I'm not like one of those cool streamers. Yeah, but there's some folks watching, and if they wanted to just say, bring themselves in, I want to invite that. And while that's catching up with them, I'm going to go over to let's see, this view. Womp. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. All right, so this is the building that Shared Ground is currently inhabiting, and it's an old Presbyterian church in.
Presbyterians, the original Democrats.
Yeah, I've been
Democracy, original democracy creators.
Oh yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah, I've been learning a little bit about like the Reformation, the Catholic Reformation, and a lot of it was about how um, the churches were organized and how power, and we're actually modeling our our organizing structure off of a congregate model. So the congregation is the seat of power. And I'm just scrolling through. Here's the sanctuary room. Uh, here's the sanctuary room. We got this beautiful sanctuary, and uh, some great lighting, some great fixtures. This
Yeah.
beautiful stained glass. Yeah, Kenya, do you want to speak anything else while I kind of slowly go through this slideshow? Any other?
Yeah. I first walked into the building that is now containing shared ground, this old church, when I participated in the social permaculture class that is held here in Denver by some lovely teachers. And coming into a church building, I didn't have much of an experience with church as a child, and I feel pretty blessed for that. But also, I never really felt like churches were something I'd wanted to be in. Not due to any trauma, but like just because it's a church and I'm not really about most, of the communities that are doing the church thing. It's just not my thing. But coming into shared ground for this social permaculture class, I just felt like, ooh, like there's something different here. Just people kind of bring their energy into spaces and transform them. And so whatever had been going on in there, which I had no idea, I just felt in my body, and felt like I wanted to be there more. Even though I had some difficulty with attending that class this year just for logistical reasons, I just still felt like I really wanted to be in that space. And eventually got invited in that room. Actually, that picture of that room. I got invited to the first kind of like larger community meeting that pulled folks together to learn about what was going on in the space or what was starting to happen in the space. And my takeaway from that was that it was a group of folks who just kind of were blessed to have this opportunity to pretty much do kind of whatever they wanted in the space within reason. And most of them being my teachers in permaculture space, in landscape design and in all types of land earthwork things, which is what I'm about. I just was like, okay, what are we doing here? What's going on? And just learning a little bit about the intention to have it be a space that was, curated by community for the community. And in that intention, still like figuring it out and needing to bring community in to be like, well, what do we want to do here? So that was an exciting moment in my life. There was the mention of wanting more folks to join the steering committee, and I was just like, well, I've never been on a board or a steering committee before. Like, sure, I'll do my little community project things here and there, but it's never been something like, this is a steering committee, this is a board. But I was like, these people are great and awesome, and the vibe is right. I'm gonna do it. Sign me up. And they like welcomed me with open arms, and yeah, so that's my story around shared ground, and the space. The space it's like not a overwhelmingly huge church, but it's also not like one of those tiny like one room churches. There's a good amount of rooms in there, and they're all quite spacious, each with their own vibe and kind of flow. There's 3 levels, and yeah, I guess I'm gonna leave it at that for my
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so a little, I think one of the things that I'm wanting to do here in like capturing this on a video is speaking to sort of the other community projects that are starting. I think that's most of the audience. They're people kind of like, what do they call that? Inside baseball. You know, they're the ones playing the game. And so bringing Kenya on, we're really growing at the speed of trust. That's one of the principles that we're trying to take on. And what we did was we had an event where we invited a bunch of like first degree friends, you know, people that we personally knew, and we brought them all in, and that's where Kenya came. And yeah, and you just really stepped up. You just, you know, you're like, I want to do this. I want to be on here. Like, let's go. And I think we reached out to 3 people after that event, invited them, and 2 of them, you and Bobby, came on, and then we did like a very intentional integration, and we've done a great job, I think. You know, patting my own back of bringing you in and making sure that you felt empowered. And then you've put on like 2 huge events, and that's where y'all come in. Is the first event, just like a Sunday in November, right?
Yep. Yep. I will say, so yeah, I've been doing a little project called the Potted Peace Project, which is something my friend Sarah and I started with the intention of just like, like building more connection between like kind of BIPOC community, people of color. And we just wanted to give plants to people for free. Like that was our way of connecting. We were just both like nerdy plant people, and you know, everybody's got clippings of their house plants you can propagate. So we're like, we can get free plants, we can give plants to people, and we can like do cool little events and stuff. So we had been doing that for a while before I came into Shared Ground. And our one thing that was kind of holding us back from doing more with the project was access to space. We were mostly doing pop-up events and just getting tables wherever we could. And but you know, over the winter it was a lot different, because a lot of these events happened outside over the summer. And access to space, I think, for the community that we were building was just a huge setback for all the folks we connected to. So coming into Shared Ground also was like, I mean, not selfish entirely, but like I have my own like idea, like I'm gonna take advantage of this for my community that I've been building in my project, and I want to bring it here. And so yeah, being welcomed onto the steering committee, and then, you know, all of you guys just being like, do you here was such a blessing. And with that, yeah, we did a Sunday open house event where we had a couple talks during the day, and in the evening was a potluck dinner, and we had the intention of doing a deconstructed open mic, which was something that Coco and I had talked about previously in a Potted Peace meeting, was holding the space that would be an open mic. I should let you talk about it more, Coco, but we didn't get to it that night, but we did have a great event with this open house, and Coco and Kia both stepped up. I was like, I need some sound, like what's it called, the sound system thing for this, and y'all two are the sound people I know, and you're the community people I know, so do you want to come do this? And they were like, no doubt, absolutely, 100%, we're there. And they came through and just set up, and we're just really present and available, and have been ever since, as far as the things we're doing and hoping to keep doing at Shared Ground. So, but yeah, I'll pass it to Coco if you want to, like, I don't know, could talk about our ideas with the deconstructed open mic, or like whatever.
I mean, I honestly thought it was more like your idea, because you know, I don't know what, like, deconstructed sounds like acoustic. Is that what you're saying?
No, remember when we met? We actually met at Shared Ground with Potted Peace. We met with Sarah and Sabrina. I think it was Sabrina's idea more than anything, actually. We were like,
so
what do we
this-
want to
Yeah,
do?
we met. Well, we met way before that, but like, yeah, when we had that meeting in the yeah. So okay, that's why the name was like, okay, but yeah, I mean, as far as like open mic type deal. You know, those are always utilized as spaces to get it off your chest. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, whoever's listening, you know, you have something to get off your chest, you have something you wrote, gotta sing it out, you know what I mean? It's very much a space like, because well, that's really what I really like about the Drew is showing some pictures of the sanctuary, and I like that space, mostly for the acoustics. And it is to me, it's more of a space to like, it's because here's the thing. I grew up with a church background, but not traumatizing. So I had all the like positive aspects of gathering and food and congregating and like the whole religion thing, like that being my positive experience has given me the opportunity to think critically about those spaces and about spirituality and the organization of whatever religion is and the separation of the two, because I understand how off-putting it can be to what there's a, oh, it's like it's a building, it's a place to gather. You know what I mean? It's not this whole, it's not this ominous being that's gonna suck us all down because we ate some pussy the other night. You know what I mean? Or we fuck, you know what I mean? It's literally, it's like when I walk in there, I feel the space, I feel the energy of, you know, people who were gathering and people who were legitimately in there to talk about what they had to talk about. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with us. It has, and it may not align with whatever the hell we're thinking of, or it might. I mean, at the end of it, just because it's named something doesn't mean that that's what the definition is. Does that make any sense? There are many names for one thing. So
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? So yeah, go. You want to say something?
yeah. Well, I think this is like the perfect first thing to talk about. Actually, is about you know, we're coming and inhabiting what was formerly a Christian church, and there's a lot of trauma from religion in general, Christians in particular, and the building, you know, is just a building, and it does hold that. You know, we actually just took down the cross in the sanctuary today because you know, just in what we call it, we've been calling it like, oh, I'm gonna go to the church, I'll meet you at the church, and it's like, wait, we have to start to separate from the narrowness of that word. You know, it's like we're kind of a non-denominational sanctuary. We aren't shying away from the spiritual, but we're also trying to say we're trying to open up to everything, and also I think not close out the Christian. Like the fact that you had, I assume, a Christian upbringing.
Yeah, and it was non-denominational and like, you know, I don't have any qualms with, I only qualm I have is with zealot, being a zealot. And that doesn't limit itself to religion or spirituality. You know, if anybody wants to look up the definition, by all means. But you can be a zealot about a myriad of things. And yeah, so far you know, anyone can talk to me in person about what it is that I think, believe, process. I mean, it's a whole conversation, and the internet does no justice. But I will say, in regards to the words and the semantics of it, it is good that, you know, we remove certain things. Some things can't be removed. Like the stained glass is just beautiful. It is what it is. There's an anchor. There's a book and a cross. Like it's just get into it. You know what I mean? And also that's a part of the healing. I mean, it's the thing about healing, and I need everyone to just stay with me on this one. Is it's like getting a shot. It's not always pleasant. It's not always this like love and light. It's like sometimes someone's got to get up in you and you got to get got up in, you know what I mean? And if that means you have to look at something and become uncomfortable, darling, by all means, you have to be uncomfortable, because that means that you're processing another part of the world, you see? And it doesn't mean like uncomfortable for the sake of being uncomfortable. It's literally like when you work out and you're stretching, you're like, damn, I don't want to stretch. Like, this is fucking insane. You know what I mean? But then you're thinking about, if I don't stretch, then I'm not going to be able to touch my toes when I'm 80, you know? And if I were to stay in the same mind frame of, you know, I mean, I was in that position of, because I grew up in the church and I didn't have a traumatizing experience, but I still was like, hell no. Nah. You know what I mean? I was still like, fuck that, you know? And the same thing, if it's like the word God or the word church, or, and I mean, I love the word sanctuary. I think it's an all-encompassing, inviting word. There's, you know, and again, back to the uncomfortableness, and not to be uncomfortable for the sake of being uncomfortable. However, we have to understand that English is such a limiting word, like language. And a lot of times we have to think about, I mean, I know we heard the term, let's take him to church. You know, take him to church. That, you know, that literally just means speak it, talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, when you hear like, go ahead, Reverend, or some shit like that, it's not like, it's someone who is revered. Someone is saying something, and their words are being revered. So that is the kind of like healing that, and I'm just saying words just in, you know, the matter of the conversation, because this can go in a few other directions just beyond church, sanctuary, and just in our healing. And this is something that I've had to do for my own personal self when it's come to rhetoric and communication and how I'm hearing things, and, you know, recognizing language, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just, I love like I said, I love the word sanctuary. It's all encompassing. And I also want people to remember that you can't put so much stock into into just the surface, you see? Because I mean, you got crosses and shit everywhere. It's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? God, thank God we're not in a Catholic church, because that would be insane. I mean, there'd be a bleeding Jesus, I mean, it'd be kind of crazy. But
I think what you're saying is like, sometimes the symbology for people, and what people don't know where symbology comes from, and it's overwhelming, and that's like other places you can take it. But having a place to gather and be and eat together, I mean, to be honest, it's the most revolutionary thing you can do, is to be together and to like, you know, trust in other people that you're going to be safe there. And I think there's like not a lot of places that like are like that in modern times right now, because it's a lot of separation, and it's a lot of, you know, a lot of like, oh, that's yours over there, that's oh, you pay that bill, you do that. So it's like,
costs
really
money.
Yeah, it's really, because it separates us. It's really difficult. But what I do like about church, and what my friend Greg and I, we were going to Presbyterian church, because in the Presbyterian church, we were thinking, just like you guys are, we were like, you could take over a Presbyterian church by bringing all your friends in, and eventually you become the deacons and the people who run it, and you get access to all that, right? Like, we were really thinking this a long time, like not too long ago, before the pandemic, while we were running the mayor campaign. And I was like, if we can run that many people into a church like that, we can like have places to eat, cook, band practice, like do the things that we need to do, which is like an interesting thing, that when we were called in on this, and like our vibrations were just like naturally there. And the reason why it's so easy for us and strong is because we have been planning that. So it's funny that you guys called, because we've all like, I have no qualms about church or religions, because I'm like an all around religious person. I like to study religions as like current and history, and also like what we're experiencing and what other people experience and what they're really for. So, but I do like Presbyterian churches for that reason. So I think that is the vibe that is there. Like how we can all come together and bring it in on that is like, it's really interesting that, that is the vibe. And like, to take away the cross, like that's a bad symbol. If you are a person who is like a actual enjoyer of Jesus's story, like,
that ain't it.
Cross is a wretched thing
that ain't it.
Down. Like, that is traumatic.
It's
like,
Symbol
you
of
know,
trauma.
and I
Yeah,
think that
literally.
like
Little
that's
drama.
part, we should acknowledge that like why would I, geez, bro, like, so the colonizer who put you on the thing that stabbed you is now the perpetrator of who you are. It's like, whoa, you guys are
It's a
weird,
mind fuck.
you know. And you know, and not to acknowledge Ethiopia as the Holy Land is like another thing that like Christians just really like look over. And I find it very interesting that we're, you know, we could be here now to like clean that, you know, like more than just heal, like clean it, you know. We need to clean it with each other. And how you do that is like you gather, you eat, you and like dancing and
Mhm.
talking to each other and expressing and open mics. That's prayer, y'all. That's like what it is. Like call spade is a spade, you know, give it a name, you know.
And that was something in my I never grew up very religious, and sort of always had this like, you know, I was like a materialist atheist for a long time. And I read this book, Zealot, or Rabbi Jesus. I read these two books about Jesus, and that was one of like Jesus of Nazareth. His whole thing was like, you don't need to go to the priests to commune with God. You can sit and have food with your friends, and that's communion with God. That's where like the blood, like eating his body, like breaking bread together. And I feel like so many different histories are all sort of touching, you know. They're like the way that we commune with the more than human world, and the more than ourselves, and the like the thing that is and that always has been and that always will be. um it's not it's not so different. And where a lot of the trauma that I see comes from is actually more in the structure.
Mhm.
And that's why personally I'm so interested and concerned with how do we structure these things that we do. Because we don't think about it. We go into the default structure, and the default structure is there's someone on the top, and they're pushing down and telling you what to do. And like, how do we avoid
Know
that?
the
Somebody
system
has to.
or you
Somebody.
the system.
One at a time.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Coco, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say like delegation is delegation. So it doesn't have to be this European trickle down effect. However, if a person understands the protocol, then that person is the one giving the protocol, and so on and so forth. You have to, it's not a matter of like, I'm the boss and you're the da-da-da-da-da. It's like, well, I understand the process, and you got to ask the person, you got to check in, like, do you understand the process? And the person's like, no, not really. Then you can explain it, and they too can become that. You know what I mean? That's the
You
the
can
rollover.
you
You know
can
what I mean?
elevate
And
them.
everyone's gets elevated. You know, it's not a matter of, you know, this and that. And so I think,
And,
yeah.
and that's where people don't realize how relationships work and in general. And that's like why we teach signal flow and stuff. Is like, honey, you can't know everything, you know, and you don't know what you're outputting, you're inputting, how it's all connecting. You have to talk about that with each other. And it's like the basics of trust and verification and communication is like has to be talked about consistently and constantly with friends and lovers and family members and committees and all that thing. Is like, wow, you really have to use that. And I think that's what is good about something like this. I believe is that we're all really like, don't just come in and be like, I'm a rebel, I'm break the system, I'm this, I'm that. Instead, like, know what systems work, know why they work, know what we need to adjust in things. And it's like, you know, just being so like I don't know, I find that word zealot coming up a lot in this conversation. And just being a zealot about anything is just like, yo, look at the picture, read the room. You know.
I'm getting a no zealots. It's like, we would rather you not be a zealot vibe.
Yeah, well,
which is boundary, right?
keep that mind open.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything, Kenya?
I think I just want to clarify that shared ground, what we've decided to kind of just call shared ground is a climate and community resilience sanctuary. I feel like that term hopefully is nice and
I
digestible.
like that
for
because climate can mean like it could literally mean the climate, and it also means like he had just said, read the room, check the temperature
Mhm.
with the
Ooh,
people.
Oh
ooh.
yeah, so the climate of the social
Of-
climate.
yes, literally, I like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I really like our focus. I think that there's two things. There's a focus on it's like not erasing the spirituality and
Mhm.
really wrestling with like, well, how do we do a type of church in a new way? Like, and I think of that as telling a new story, but we like the practices. We want to be eating food together. We want to be singing together. We want to be doing the practices, but then finding a new story. And we have this, and then the climate becomes this incredible story because we're in an apocalypse right now. We're in an unveiling that the system that we have doesn't work, and a lot of people have known that a long time. Um, and I think it really speaks to an accessibility. You know, it's like we all have accessibility needs, and one of the main accessibility needs is like I need a functioning biosphere to be a human being on the planet. And yeah, I think that's great framing that we've recently come up with.
Yeah, I like it too because yeah, I think like with I think the beautiful thing about Earth is that she's consistent,
Mm.
and in her climate, literally, in the way that she moves, and the people, and the something about the people is all throughout history we've always ate together. So I think that this is that's actually the main focus of this conversation. I think that's what we're really wanting to get out about gathering and about sanctuary in church, is that it is about gathering. It's because, like you said, we've been in a spiritual war for going on 10 years. I'd say it really has hit the fan recently. You know what I mean? It was like
In America, you mean? In the
in
United
general,
States?
in
In
general.
general,
You're
okay.
tapped in, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's not, no, and America is such a small sphere. It's
Mhm.
only so much of our world, you see. Um, and in my belief, we've we've been preparing for this moment because we're already in the apocalypse. We're already, I would say, at like the beginning of, right, like you said.
It's always in decay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm not trying to be off, I'm just saying like we're preparing for living in that, not like this whole dystopian whatever, because honey, it's already like kind of, if you think about what our lives should be, and not
Right.
like this fantastical, but literally what our lives should be, we're not made for any of this. We're actually made for growing food and being
Like it's
in
almost
the earth.
already post-apocalyptic.
We're already, you see what I'm saying? So we're already there. But however, we're relearning the practice of like, oh yeah, eating food isn't just like me eating by myself. Like it's kind of depressing. I think we've all been in those places where we just, and I don't want to say it like that, like going to the park and you got your little snacks, it's like something different, but having a meal and you're just like, damn, I wish I could be sharing this with somebody or somebodies, because all great acts and all great actions have been discussed over food. It wasn't discussed at the bar. It wasn't discussed when we was getting high. It was somebody cooked a meal and we was getting into it for 5+ hours. And that's what and I think that that's what this organization is embedding in the rising revolution, is I think a lot of people think that the revolution is going to be televised and this and this and that, and they're taking rhetoric from all these other places. And just like you said, Drew, I mean, Key and I have talked about this for a long time, is creating a new story. That's the old story.
Yeah.
We're creating another path, you see. And I mean, you have to take what was given to us and you have to weave another web, just like we're talking about. And that includes
I was
gathering food.
I was thinking I was thinking we should raise some money for a really big rice cooker.
Oh, an industrial sized rice cooker.
Yeah. I mean, we have.
They have big ones, and then they have these like big pots. Like we could always have like rice and beans on hand for everyone all the time. Like I've been really working on this idea for a long time, and it's really easy because it's like vegan and it's whatever, but like I gotta really, it's a good recipe. It's just plain, but that way everyone is always at least like a little bit fed and a little bit feeling good, so that we can always ensue that. And just want to push that forward, like all the food talk, right? But
Yeah.
like
The
but, like,
action.
yeah, like I want to bring to call to action, like, for a couple $100 we could get like an industrial sized rice cooker that's pretty nice, like a 50-cup rice cooker that we could always have on hand with the Instapot. Always, we couple Instapots always gone with some beans, and yeah, like it's that's no money off our back really, and it's like I wouldn't even mind doing that. But like, yeah, if we could like think about that, because I've been looking it up a lot, because I'm like, oh, we need a rice cooker for this place,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have
so
them.
that we can, like, it's always on. Like, at the event the other day, that would have came in really fucking handy if I had some beans and rice there just cooking, and everyone was like, yeah. I said, oh, there's some beans and rice in the back, go get a little cup, just for sustenance. And it's not like crazy, but like that like vibe is like what got the Black Panthers killed. Don't ever fucking forget it, you guys.
Yeah.
Is that they were feeding the people. And if you feed the people without any, like that shit is revolution. That is what the revolution is. And you already know that. And I mean, I just want to implement it like it's like a nonchalant kind of thing. I really want it to be that way,
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there,
Yeah.
And I got like 10 minutes. So if we want to roll real quick with the, music vibe, I also want to put forward to tell everyone that I do want to teach classes there. I want to teach home recording. I want to teach people about signal flow and sound. And I want all of us to be proficient at it. Like you will be able to plug it in, Drew. You will be able to plug it in, Kenya. You know what I mean? It's not going to have to require me to show up and do it. Like I can actually feel like I can teach this to people as a like cognitive way. That way we all get empowered by electricity and electronics and quit being a slave to it. Like a lot of us are slaves to electricity because we don't understand it. And it seems like, oh, it's over there,
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm not really into people like saying, oh, I can't do that because of this or whatever. I really need us all to have opportunities to make sure that we all can understand that like there's like protocol and basics to it, but also you could do it. Like I can help it. And that way, if something goes down, like we can, and now if we have real technical difficulties, I mean, that's always a thing too, but usually it's a cable. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like listening to you talk and thinking about that kind of energy is what I feel like we're really trying to bring in and like contain and obtain at Shared Ground is like part of one of the initial things that I feel like kept coming up in our steering committee meetings was like skill sharing. And so like, calling ourselves a community resilient sanctuary, I mean, how do we be resilient as a community? We're sharing our skills.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's nothing off me. I'm just not a colonizer. So if I learn something, I'm not a person who's like, well, that's mine. I'm a person like, let's do it. Like let's all chop onions together. Like shit. Like, like I'm not a person who's like, well, it's a culinary skill to do it like this. And you're like, what? Everyone should learn how to chop onions a bunch of ways.
right.
Same difference. I think that we really need to like, we want that. So me just saying it is going to manifest. It's already there. It's like already in your mind and I'm speaking it, right? Like I could, you're like channeling me as a oracle to say these things. That's why Corinne is like in her body right now, communicating with you guys like this, because we're oracles. We're people who do that job for real. And we know that we're entertainers of this land and that we like make it a more beautiful place by sound and food and like energy, and we know how to implement it. We've done it many times. We're very, I mean, we and we're not like all goody two shoes about shit either. We're like if we don't like something, you could get on with it.
Mhm.
Also. And I think that's an important thing to say too, because everything is not everything, guys. It's not like, oh, let me get this bad vibe sucker out of here. I'm like, if I don't like you, just go. Like, especially when we're doing something so sacred and so cool. Like, but those people won't be attracted to it.
Right.
Because they don't have any, I've noticed that like the people who really like are like that, they're like really money oriented. They're really like, I did this for the money, like the few people that I know I have like real bad vibes with in town. I'm always like, man, well, we need them because they get all the money. You're like,
Right.
well, all the skills and knowledge, like what the money
So-
goes like water, you got to fill that back up again,
Mhm.
and skills can last, like
my 13-year-old's grandma used to always, she's like she's Colombian, and she's just like the most like, her love language is gift giving. And she used to always say to me when I was kind of stressing about money, because I had my 13-year-old when I was 17, and it was just
Stressful.
yeah. And she used to say, Kenya, don't worry, money's like a beard. You shave it off and it grows right back again.
She ain't
And-
lying though. She ain't
Yeah.
lying.
No, I'm like, I'm seeing it time and time again. at this point.
money.
Yes, man.
and in our, we have a lot of social permaculture, and that's what the class that Kenya was taking, and in that modality we have this idea of 8 forms of capital, and I can't list them all off right now, but it's like
Yeah.
financial capital is one thing,
Oh
but
yeah.
you have experiential capital, that's what you're offering. You have you have spiritual capital, there's all these other capitals, and I think that we want to have a plurality of not just people, but also of ways that we are enriching ourselves in this space. And I really appreciate the like calling in. Like I think that's where we're at right now, is we're in the space of like, let's call in, let's cast the spells, and craft the prayers,
Right.
and
Also,
it will,
we'll all work on the accessibility together. And
Yeah.
it can be done very easily. We're all in it and we're all seeing it, and it'll be good for everyone.
yeah.
So-
I'm very excited. I have this beautiful essay by, I can't remember who, about I have a number of essays about accessibility. I'm actually releasing a podcast. I talked to one of our community members about accessibility, and it's accessibility at its core is just an act of love. It's and I think that's why the whole like anti-mask movement was such a like hurt so much for so many people, because it's like, yeah, I know it's annoying for you to put a piece of cloth on your mouth, but like, can you just show people love? Like,
Right.
is that okay? And hopefully, and I think that's what we want to cultivate, is a space where like we're not going to get right, because there's accessibilities that are conflicting. People
Yeah.
need to eat meat for protein, and people can't be around people who eat meat, and all
Right.
kinds of things.
Oh,
Uh,
well, for instance, let's just take it to the disability level, like the little nubs that blind people can use to go up the like sidewalks, right? Like that's kind of difficult for people in wheelchairs. Just like it can
Yeah.
be that way,
Yeah.
but we all accept that, like what we can sacrifice with each other. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing with disability, besides like BIPOC politics. Disability politics trump all of that, because we all might be disabled and we all know somebody who's disabled, and that is a big politic, like whether people like it or not. Especially in America, we don't get, like, the only time you should talk about America for real, like as an entity, is that how we don't have healthcare. That shit
Yeah.
is weird. Like in the world, I've traveled the world. In the world, they're always like, whoa.
What?
But yeah, they're stressed out for you.
I
know?
know, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
They're like so stressed
Oh,
for you.
and this is what I was
What
saying
do
is
you do?
is like the climate apocalypse is an accessibility issue.
Yeah.
Like I'm fairly able-bodied. I have maybe some cognitive like processing problems. You should see me like spell things. It's kind of fun.
Then we call Corinne.
Yeah. But we all have an accessibility need of a functioning biosphere, and of like in institutions that support us, such as healthcare. Like that's an accessibility. So like everybody is in that conversation, and I think it really is the at the root. Disability justice is very fundamental.
I mean, I go with disability justice on all levels. I don't even really associate with any other kind of politics, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not speaking for Corinne, but Corinne and I both understand it at a level and have, and like, besides how much sun you could take or what your little flap looks like or all the things that we can be and different, right? What makes us the same is our abilities and our disabilities and our like acknowledgement of that, and like how that really like lays the unemotional ground for like, what are we all capable of, or are we not able to do this? Are we capable to do it? You know, it really helps just like unemotional that stuff, you know, is like, can we get our friend down here in her chair? And can we, you know, like, can we like problem solve with each other, right? And like some people don't like that as disability politics, but that's like that's a real flavor. And I understand that, but like, I mean, Denver's cool because we're at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I there's some real key connection in like food. You know, it's like talk about you know, food. Everyone has to have food. We all have to consume and eat and nourish ourselves, and that's like a thing. It's like it's not a disability, but it's a you know, it's a constituent of being alive that we all share, and that's, of course, that's why that's like the thing that would bring us together.
Yeah, it's the thing that we all need no matter what, right? Like, you know, we need to like have water, we need to eat so that we can poop. I mean, like be as real. I mean, like we need to take a lot of bullshit out of things, you know, like because right now with the mental health issues everybody's having, I just think they're just allowed to have too much emotions about things like this. It's like, honey, that's too much emotion in that, you know, when it's not really an emotional thing, it's a survival tactic and a survival, you know, and it becomes emotional. I mean, my good friend Janae said, like, I wouldn't have no mental health problems if I didn't have to have a job.
Well, this is, I mean, the mental health and it being mentally, you know, stable in this totally whacked out world is, you know,
near impossible.
And I don't think it's just like being well adjusted in a maladjusted world is
no.
Kind of psycho. Yeah, there's that good quote where it's like, it says something like, if you are someone who never gets dysregulated, you're probably just not responding to the environment around you, like this environment.
and I think that's I think that when I look out at the other places, at the third places in our world, you know, not home, not work, third places, they're places of disassociation. They're places of like, let's get high, let's get drunk, let's, you know, let's overstimulate. And I like, I think that's the thing that I really want to call in for shared ground is like, how do we have a place where we associate with each other, with ourselves?
I mean, me and Corinne are not like teetotalers, or we're not like anti anything, but we also like to tell people that, like, you know, alcohol is welcome in most places and it's just not welcome here. It's not welcome at the Rare Bird show because we're trying to bring you in your body, make you feel sexy, and like alcohol is not the path to that. You know, so like we're dealing with so much loneliness and so much like drama with that, like so much like, I want a partner, I want friends, like that is not going to get you that. It never has. It's a dupe. It's a, let's quote Benjamin Franklin right now, like, why are you fighting the savages when you could just give them a bottle of rum? You know, like that's what we need. And it's like, people take that really harshly, and that's okay. They have things to work on.
They should.
You know, and
that was what I was talking about with the uncomfortable, you know, not for the sake of being uncomfortable. You take the fluff out of it. I mean, that's call a spade a spade.
Yes.
You know? it isn't accepted anymore. It isn't working anymore. That's it. It was like a thing, and it has proven to not actually work. Like the tension's off. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? So,
Yeah. And we all need to start acknowledging that, I think, because people who drink really get real like uptight about it. And it's like, honey, it's okay. There's plenty of places for you to do that, And I find it very interesting, that people are like that. They're like, whoa, there's no, like, dude, bring a shooter. No one said what you got to do,
Eh,
Right.
but we're not trying to,
We're not centering that. Yeah, we talked about that with the
they're White Claw, bro.
yeah, do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
No
mhm.
one's
what were you
telling you not
saying?
to
What were you
do
saying,
it.
Kenya?
I was talking with Coco and Kia about that. We met recently with a couple other folks to talk about hosting some burlesque, like, queer burlesque shows, or just, very inclusive and accessible spaces centered around that type of thing, like express yourself and do this and that and really be embodied. And
As sober spaces?
yeah, but like, not like we're well, I feel like I want to let Coco talk about it. And also, though, just pause, acknowledging that Kia, are you heading out?
I'm gonna get in my car.
Okay.
Like
Okay,
I think
cool.
we can wrap. We don't
Yeah,
need to
I'm
have
gonna
you.
get.
Okay,
I
well,
gotta.
just to clarify, just real quick about
Yeah.
what Kenya's talking about, and yeah, to wrap it up. As far as like specifically the burlesque and the events going forward, I believe that at least the events that Key and I are wanting to put on, and the folks that we work with are very, for lack of better words, body positive, and in the sense that, Rare Birds being, Key and Corinne are two people who have had to work very hard to be in their bodies, and we're just wanting everyone else to want to be in their bodies as well. So, and
Like a
that means,
blueprint.
say that again?
Like a blueprint.
Like a blueprint. And
Right.
and what that means is it's not about love. It's literally take the emotion out of it, trust your body. It's about looking at yourself, knowing who you're looking at, worshiping your vessel in the way that you're pleasured, has nothing to do with the internet, has nothing to do with what anyone else said. It has everything to do with your own influence. And I believe that this space is a space to cultivate that. And the Radic Colonial folks that we work with, they're politically charged burlesque group. They're basically performance art wholeheartedly. We could take the traditional sense of burlesque and they add political views to it. They say what's on their mind through dance, through movement, and in that is an example of how to be in your body and what it looks like. Even if you're feeling manic, that's a way to channel your mania.
Right.
You see? So
and yeah, with that intention, that purpose, like,
yeah,
we don't center alcohol, because that is but I do want to, I also want to honor that, like, or at least recognize that I'm careful with saying this because it's like, I don't know, but alcohol can be like if there's respect for it, can be
tequila is actually used as medicine. So I just want to clarify that. And that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
What we're saying is, like, do you like at the get together, there was the little hard juns and the hard kombuchas that's all cute and tucked up. I had one of those mugs and was feeling real good because again, as medicine people, we recognize the medicine of it, and quite literally tequila and rum is used as medicine. So it's not about, say that again.
I said and kombucha or kombucha.
And kombucha, period. Okay, fermented.
Sure, amazing.
So like, yep. So in that it's to get across that, like, no, it's not about like, what bitch are you drinking? It's that we're taking away alcohol as the center and bringing sober minds and sober opportunity as the center. and
Yeah.
you can, if you gotta be respectful.
What you gotta do? But
I mean, all the things, right? It's about respect, because this place is a sanctuary. The focus isn't about getting fucked up, no matter how we look at it. It's literally about being in your body, and the ritual of eating and the ritual of being in the vibration of each other is the focus, in my personal opinion.
I think that's really beautiful and a great way to, because it's like, again, we want to invite everybody in, no matter where you're
Absolutely.
at with whatever you're doing, and we can have we're all centering different things, and I really appreciate you. This almost kind of goes all the way back to something someone was saying about Kenya, of like, there's a yes in it now, and you're just saying like, I have a boundary here,
Yeah.
and respecting and holding those boundaries.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to be a great place to leave it. I'm so grateful for the three of you coming on and chatting, and it's been just so good.
I don't want to cut you off, but what you eating? Girl?
And I'll right by.
You making that look good. I'm like, nom, 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 nom.
Being embodied, doing my food thing with my friends.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so funny because Kia opened it up with eating beans, and Kenya's closing it out with eating.
Exactly.
That's my shit.
All right, so next time we'll get the once we get the studio space set up at Shared Ground, we can do this. We can have a little conversation over dinner.
Absolutely. And we can talk about logistics and how we can make that happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm
Uh,
glad you let me talk about the rice cooker. That was on my mind a lot.
There's a large kitchen downstairs that just needs to be remodeled, and if we got 20 people to work on that, it's just about like, how do we get the people into the space, and
That's why it's a good thing that we're all on involved, because we do know a lot of people that want to be working and doing that kind of thing. So I am the madam. I can motivate without money.
yeah. And I don't think that this is a space, like, we're making renting the space with events, and it's all possible. Everything's possible, and I think that we can be creating multiple forms of income, and be it spiritual, be it relational, be it financial, and like Kenya said at the beginning, like, she came in and was excited to work on this and has done an amazing job in her position as one of the steering committee members, and it is also benefiting her. And I think that we can, like, that's the thing. Like, I really see this as a common resource.
Yeah.
And how do we like go back to the commons? And I think I'll end it with just the story of my, the white man lineage in Europe. The witches were the ones who brewed beer, and there was a lot of like, getting drunk was one way that beer existed, but there's many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, according to the story that I understand, it was the church that came in and disenfranchised them from
100% right.
From that ritual. Yeah.
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 And that's
Yeah.
like my connection to indigeneity, which I think is important for white folks
Well,
too.
you are an earth person, darling.
Absolutely.
You are earthing.
And I have
It
a
is what
body.
it is.
Yeah. And
Body.
yeah, and I'm in a
I'll
body
find one
like,
at that.
We're gonna take down all these walls and borders, y'all.
yeah.
We're gonna quit talking about this shit, and we're gonna realize we're Earth people. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm gonna say that I'm excited for future conversations. I know Kia's gotta get to work, and
Yeah. Got Key
I'm
in the
driving.
car.
What about this light though?
Kia's up in the
This is
whip,
driving
so
lighting.
chill out.
Yeah, oh my God. This is, I'm very, okay. I can't be responsible for this anymore. I am so grateful
I end
for
up
all
in
of you.
court.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your eyes on the road. Oh my God. Okay.
I'm not driving. I'm like, look at this lighting though.
All right,
Yeah.
y'all.
So good.
All right.
Hey, Drew, thank you for holding this space. And
Yeah,
yes,
thank you,
we're going to
Drew.
do more. And whoever's watching, you can connect more to Shared Ground on Instagram. I'm going to do a little thing. And it's at sharedground.co on Instagram, and then online, like the website.
Not
is
to be confused with Coco La.
exactly sharedground.co with a C-O, not the K-O. Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yes.
Where is it? We
I
got
love
it.
y'all.
All
And then
right.
our
I love-
website, yeah,
Thank you so much.
sharedground.co. So.
Peace, everybody. Thanks.
Peace.
Bye, friends.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. That's everybody. Letting them go.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye.
Ah, cool. Well, there you have it. That was the first episode of my little live stream talk show. And I'll put some links to the shared ground in the doobly doo. And if you like this, definitely get in touch. hello@sharedground.co. I see you. I'm so with you. Yeah, I'm grateful for you coming in. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. We covered a lot of ground, and I'll probably do more of these. Who knows? Okay, so the stream is